Hey, here's Alex from Black Sheep IT Consulting, and we are unboxing Siebel 26.1. Yes, indeed, it's 2026. It's January. It's time for a new Siebel release, a yearly release, Siebel 26. And this is we're going into the fourth decade of Siebel, so it's feeling really old, having seen Siebel since its single-digit years back in the 90s and still going very strong. So we have here a Siebel installation on a training machine, and I picked an old image on purpose. So let's see what exactly this version is. So there's Siebel version.properties. And even Notepad is outdated on this one, so let's update it real quick. And we can see Siebel is 23.10, which makes it more than 2 years old. As of the recording, we go to 26.1, and we want to do the full mojo, the big update, if you will. It's almost an upgrade because we have a huge gap between those 2 years. Oracle introduced so much in Siebel 25, for example, the Oracle client and ODBC driver migration, Java 21, the encryption update. All that is going to happen on this poor little 23.10. It doesn't even know what's coming. So yeah, let's just let the updater do the thing. I'll pause the video for a moment. Okay, so one thing before you update, of course, is stop everything you have. So I made sure I have the Siebel services. You can see here, let's take an inventory and let's take it thoroughly. We have 3 Tomcats on this machine. That is the SES internal, external, co-located, and we have a sidecar for the Kafka integration. And all of these 3 need to be updated. So they're currently, if you look closely, there are Tomcat 9. They will be Tomcat 10 soon. But when migrating, at least until 25.12, so that'll be honestly a surprise. I would be surprised if these Tomcats regain their settings. So let's check. Actually, it's a good idea to start a little file and keep those command lines ready. So we have Tomcat 9W here, and that's the first command line we run to get the Windows-based, well, it's basically a dialog with a lot of settings. And we can see here this is a customized setting, as with the memory pool is not the factory settings. It's still low because it's just a training machine. But these settings, they will be gone once the Tomcat is updated. So it's a good idea to, well, take note if you haven't already, document these settings, at least take a screenshot or something. And I'll just take a note for the memory setting to be, well, we can crank it up a little bit. So the future setting is going to be 4 GB. It's an update after all. So let's also do this quickly for the other 2 Tomcats. So we can save these settings, and yeah, that feels quite good to do that before you actually run the update. So this one has the same settings, and sometimes you have some Java options here in this box. So also make sure, if you have those custom settings, retain them in some form of documentation that you can retrieve and reapply these settings. Okay, one more to go. That's the sidecar. And if you have these type of sidecar Tomcats, of course, they need to be updated as well to the latest Siebel release. And I'm fairly, I'm conscious that this will be Tomcat 10 later on. So but we have all the 3 Tomcat scripts nicely tucked away. And this one, I think this one can stay on 2560. It's just for demonstration. It's not doing anything much other than teaching people how to use it. Okay, let's save these. Got me a scripts folder here, and that'll be Tomcat settings. Okay, taking care of the Tomcats, they are stopped. Now let's check out the Siebel services. We have a debug service. It's a development environment. Gonna be interesting what happens to this one, since it's Java 21 soon. And then we have a Siebel gateway and a Siebel server, and both are turned off. So if you want to be really sure, set them all to manual, reboot your machine so there is no trace in, well, in terms of any rogue processes. So let's quickly check the processes for anything that sounds like Siebel, but there is not much, nothing here, right? Okay, so the Oracle database is of course waiting for us to run the update. Well, post-install database update will update the schema and fill in data in this. And we also run the brand new repository update. You heard that correctly. Not repository upgrade anymore. It's now repository update. But we come to that when the time is right. We still have to run the installer. Also, one thing I do before doing a big install, I take a backup of the entire machine. So I've done this, it's an image, but I also like to be able to quickly compare files before and after images. So if your disk space allows, and I'm quite sure it does, you can practically copy the entire folder. So for example, the SES folder, I'll just copy right away. Of course, this will take some time. It's a huge folder with a lot of log files. Could have cleaned up, but it's done in a few minutes. So I'll pause the recording. Well, I decide otherwise, back again, hello, to go back to the install image folder, which I created here. So this is the extracted zip files. And you can see the brand new open integration here, DISA waiting for its update. And here's the disk1 folder. So nothing really changed here. We still have to install. So it's 26.1. And I have Siebel Tools, of course, and I would actually run Siebel Tools update first. So if you have a developer machine, Windows with Siebel Tools, make sure to update Siebel Tools as well. Not necessarily first thing, but since we are waiting for that copy, I'll be running the setup as administrator, and let's take a first look. It's an unboxing video after all. So we have a first look at the Siebel 26.1 installer. Let me just get out of these boxes here. And I'm quite sure that we not really will feel or see a lot of difference to the 25.12. And as expected, we can select our home locations. There's also Siebel Developer Web Client. I will ignore that for now, not using it. And Siebel Tools goes first. So click Next. And well, this kicks off the Oracle database migration for Siebel Tools, right? So I have to say yes here. And then, because I'm using Oracle database, then I take the default backup location. And here is the SQL net configuration file. So where is your TNS names Aura file? It has located it, I think, properly. Let's check in the no, here on this machine it's probably the Oracle folder client 32. No, okay, where is this thing? Okay, it's client home. network admin. There goes. Okay, so I can point to this folder. And so it will be able to copy the files into the new location. All right, let's do this. It will copy the folder content inside the source location. Yes, please. And so that's Siebel Tools. Imagine Siebel Tools standalone on a Windows machine. You're coming from a pre-25.2 version. You have Oracle database, and this is what's going to happen. So it of course happens anytime you cross that threshold of 25.2, which we are doing here. So I'll run the installer for the Siebel Tools update. And I'll pause the video for now and come back when anything exciting happens. Okay, that was uneventful, so the installation completed successfully. You can click next and close. Yes. In the meantime, the folder copy has happened, so I've renamed the folder to SES 23.10, or not dot, but 2310. So to have a complete copy of everything that before image of that folder, when the updater handles this folder, I will be able to compare files. It's just a personal peeve I have. So we have updated tools, so let's check out the tools folder. It now sports that Oracle DB client folder with network admin. Did it copy the files? Yes, it did. Okay. And probably there's some changes in the ODBC settings. Yeah, we can see the SSD default instance is now based on the Oracle driver in the Oracle DB client folder, and the old one, pointing to the old driver, is now renamed to backup. The same will happen to the training DSN, which is the Siebel server ODBC data source that, well, is used for the utilities, not the Siebel server itself. Okay, so does Siebel Tools start? Let's find out. Click the shortcut. And you might find it odd to start with Siebel Tools, but I have a habit of doing the, let's say, low levels first, taking care of my Siebel Tools is all right, then taking care of maybe the sidecar or other installations, and then doing the Siebel SES, the main folder. So that's a sequence, of course, you don't have to follow. So, and Siebel Tools is coming up nicely. And this is a first time I see Siebel Tools 26. Yes, indeed. Doesn't look different from Siebel Tools 2000, to be honest. Okay, let's say thank you and exit. Okay, that went well. So now we can go back to the install folder. And we run the setup bat file as administrator again. And this time we take on the sidecar, the special AI type Tomcat, which is not an AI but acts as the sidecar for the Kafka integration. It wants to get its update too. Yeah, if you have a Tomcat or a Siebel server that you update, you get this restart services button. I always opt for not restarting, and yeah, let's see if it restarts anyway, so nobody knows right now. That should be fairly quick. Notice that it didn't actually prompt for an Oracle client migration because this AI type Tomcat doesn't actually use any database client, so it's a web tier service, right? So it doesn't connect to the database. Still, it will get the full set of binaries, so it will have a folder with the Oracle DB client. So yeah, let's pause the video recording until it's finished. Okay, just a few minutes in, the sidecar, or well, the auxiliary Tomcat. Imagine it's an AI Tomcat that you have, an AI installation. It has been updated. So let's see what happened to that service. Let's go to services. So let's refresh them. Yup, it's not started, but set to automatic. That's a sign something happened to it. And it's now a Tomcat 10. Yes, that's the Java 21 update for you. And of course, there's Java 21 libraries all over. And now we can put that here. So probably the only thing that changes is 9 to 10. Yeah. So that's our new configuration command for the Tomcat. Make sure you use the Tomcat 10W. And let's check what happened to its configuration. So it's automatic. I like to set it to manual. Back again. And it's back to factory settings. Yeah, not unexpectedly. So let's just increase this tenfold. As your mileage will vary for what you set here, and you should set a lot more in production environments. Okay, and it might or might not start in on these environments. I tend to set a full path, an absolute path to the JVM DLL. So let me do it right away, because that, yeah, as you see when you click here, there's something weird on this Windows machine. So I go to the JRE bin server JVM, and you see it's actually a link, symlink to the 21.0. And that is practically 100% secured, uses the correct JVM. That's not necessary in most cases, but I like to have it that way. Okay, so the sidecar is taken care of. Let's take care of the real star of the show, the Siebel server holding SES folder. So again, starting the installer as administrator. And yeah, keep that client home directory handy because we will need it in a few moments. And so now we update the SES. So it prompts naturally for the are you using Oracle database? Yes. Backup, we took a full backup, so we don't need that. The post-installation database, it's of course not optional, you have to run it, but it's totally okay if you skip it and run it later or manually. So I do that. I skip it. And so that will definitely ask me if you want to do this. Yes, I run it later. So we'll have a moment with that one. Not restarting the services. There's something about restarting the services when you cross 25.10, because there will be an encryption upgrade. And that's very ambiguous. Most people think there's a lot going on in the database, stuff gets decrypted and re-encrypted. Actually not. But what the encryption upgrade does, it will attempt to write into your Zookeeper, and that needs to be running. After the update, it writes a master key into Zookeeper, which was previously in a file, and uses new libraries and stuff. So that will most cases it fails when it tries that automated way. So you have to manually do it. But you will see it shortly. So here's our database migration. Sorry, it's not a database migration. It's of course the migration to the Oracle database client, which is now shipped with the Siebel binaries. And I'll point to that folder so it can copy the files as it has done for Siebel Tools. So it copies them to the SES folder. Yes, please. And this one you only see when you cross 25.10. So you come from previous versions, 25.9 or earlier, you go to 25.10 or later. And this is about the encryption upgrade parameters. So it can run that utility. Of course, we have Oracle database. Here's the table owner, the user, the password, and the data source to use. Yeah, it's already getting tricky here because the data source we can use is not updated yet, but I will use the training DSN. So it still uses that old driver. So that'll be super interesting. Has to be updated first. And the Siebel repository, and we have two language packs here for French. German, I tend to select those, so just to, having been burned in the past decades, select everything. We have a multi-select box. So yeah, it wants to know this to build probably a text file with information so you can run the utility and you can run it manually if it fails. We'll see. I have opted not to start the services, so I will most likely fail because the services need to be running for the encryption upgrade to succeed, and that's not the case. Okay, we'll see. So that's definitely a big one. Lots of things happening. Remember, we're coming from 23.10 and we're going to 26.1, so we have three big things happening. The Oracle client migration, we have the Java 21 migration, which is, well, you could say it's just binaries, and we have the encryption upgrade happening here, and we have post-install database, which we skipped, so one less thing to worry about right now. We do it later. Okay, let's hit install. And yeah, this is an interesting one. Again, let's wait a few moments until it kicks off. And then I'll pause the video and let you know when anything interesting happens. Okay, I've now restarted recording because the install is not ready, but it has finished copying the binaries. So we can now see pretty sure there's a newer Zookeeper version now as well. So that's you can see that here, the Siebel Gateway Registry upgraded, which is it's a binary update, right? You get Zookeepers, you get Tomcats, new versions. And the post-installation setup, not database setup, is started. So it's doing the Merant ODBC migration, so migrating from the old Merant driver to the Oracle driver. It's doing that right now. And we'll see how that goes. So, and yeah, coming back to the installer, the encryption upgrade utility failed. It gives you the full command line here. And also, of course, there's a log file, and probably was because Tomcat wasn't ready, Zookeeper wasn't started. I have, in the meantime, I have set up the Tomcats and started both the internal and external Tomcat. And it has started the gateway registry by itself. But that wasn't enough for the utility. So that's fine. We run it manually, so I can just take a note of still says successfully, which is well, not correct, but I'll take note of this here. That's the password. We need to run this later. Well, you need to run it very, very soon, because otherwise nothing will start, not even Siebel server, whatever. So you must make sure that both your gateway registry, which is running, I just restart that. Is it still running? Oh no, it's not running. Okay, that was. So I just start the gateway registry. That should come up. Yeah, and I'll make sure the internal Tomcat starts up too. That's all we need for now. Internal Tomcat and gateway registry. Still running. Okay. So now with those running, we can run this command line. So I have my admin password ready, and let's check out this file really quick. As could be interesting, what's in there. That should be collected from, yeah, the dialog before. So everything's in place. The training DSN, let's check if that updated correctly. Yes, it's now Oracle DB client in the Siebel server. And so that should be correct. And there's a backup with a timestamp pointing to the old driver. So that's the migration you see when you cross 25.2 on Oracle database. Okay, that setup is fine. So let's run this utility with the gateway accessible, the registry accessible. Let me go to the bin folder first. Just a creature of habit here. Okay. So the utility runs. And again, if you wonder what's going on, there's a lot of utilities running. So the one that was successful was the ODBC migration, obviously, because it was able to connect to the new DSN or the migrated DSN. The encryption upgrade failed because of services not being started at the correct time. We're just running that manually, and it looks successful so far. Yeah, that says success. There's also a log file. And of course, you should investigate these log files just to make sure, but it's successfully run the encryption upgrade. We still have the post-install database update that we skipped. Yeah, and the Java 21 migration was basically natural, but visible. We have Tomcat 10 now running as the Siebel application container. All right, so let's jump right to the post-install database setup. So there should be a setup ini file. And that is, let's see if that's correct. This is Siebel install. I switch to training DSN. There's the users, the language packs. Yeah, that looks like a good file. And so we can run it. So you run, when you run it manually, you run post-install database setup. You do -i, point to the setup ini, sorry for that. And you do -p for the Siebel table owner password and -z for the admin password. So they're both very primitive passwords on this primitive training environment. But of course, your passwords, you will not show your passwords in the YouTube video, right? So let's see if we can run this, because it's super mandatory to run post-install database setup. It will pick up, hopefully, from 23. 11 to 26.1. It's going to be super interesting if it picks that up and if it is successful. So remember that post-install database setup runs as the naming says, seed schema manifest upgrade of your database on both development and runtime environments, test and production. Seed data is being inserted in tables, including list of values. Schema is modified. You get new tables, new columns, updated columns, indexes. That could be a problem if the table is very big, you know. And the manifest is the OpenUI manifest that is required. For example, we come from 23.10, that's pre-Redwood. So there's a lot of manifest stuff going on in 24.6 with the Redwood theme, and then later on there's even more. So yeah, that will definitely take some time to bring this database, these table contents and schema changes up from 23.10 all the way to 26.1. So that's the challenge when you run a big gap update, and it's not even the biggest gap that you might have. I brought up Task Manager so we can actually see a little bit of the action here. We can see the database is quite busy, which is a good sign. There's good old siebdev CLI. Yeah, if you wonder what that is, that's the headless Siebel Tools. Runs on Linux, Windows, the same. And it just does a batch import into the Siebel repository. So it imports the schema, the CIF files for the schema definitions. That's what it does, I guess. So again, if you're the type of person who likes to watch these type of things, then enjoy. But for most of the people, they just get a coffee and come back to a, well, successful post-install database setup, hopefully. And we are going to come back when it's completed, and then of course we check the log files and the report. While the post-install database setup is running, I'll check the environment variables. It's actually also quite interesting if you have multiple Siebel homes, Siebel instances, if you will, on your machine. Look at the system path variable, which now has 3 paths to the 3 different Oracle DB client instances on these machines. The sidecar is actually not needed. Tools is important. So what's important, or what I found important, is that the SES, the Siebel server, must be on top. So basically when any Oracle client activity runs, any utility, SQL Plus or whatever, it uses this one and not this one and not this one. So you could remove the 2, probably it will still work. So you have to just check, and now you see why I have adopted a style of doing the little ones first, the little updates first, and the big one, the SES update last, because that actually updates the environment variable last, so it's on top, so I don't have to worry about it. One less thing. Okay, so the post-install database update has completed. Okay. Can't really see if it was successful, but let's check out the report real quick. So if you go to the Sieb server log, you have your post-install database setup HTML report. If you see the green thing, you're in the green. And you have lots and lots to read if you come from, depending on which version to come from. So we have lots of schema changes, lots of manifest. It seemed to have lost a little bit in terms of context, so that's not complete. That's just recent stuff. So definitely there's some, well, 24.2, maybe since 23.10 there wasn't schema change in between, but I doubt that. But still, it's a comprehensive report. For example, you see those archive tables for the intelligent archive stuff. Okay, so take your time with this report. You need to understand on the first sandbox, maybe where you run this, you need to understand what's going on in a post-install database setup, especially if it's a big database, a big environment. And yeah, I can also see a ton of manifest changes and seed changes. So you would be interested in the new views. Yeah, quite a lot. Or the list of values. Yes, substantial. All right. So nice report. Thank you very much. And I'll see you at the repository update. So this is the end of this part, and we have a separate video for the repository update, which is brand new in 26.1. Not entirely, but it has a new name. See you there. Bye-bye. Thank you.